But yeah, I guess first of all, yeah, thank you so much for even taking the time to do this. I'm sure you're like it must be super stressful wherever you're at right now. Maybe you could even just like give a quick introduction of who you are, even as a starter, and then yeah, have a list of like 30 questions and thoughts I would like to go through. But it's probably best to just hear things from you, and we can keep that as a backup, you know.
Sure. So my name is Mariya. I'm from Ukraine. Originally, I'm from a small town of Poltava on the eastern part of Ukraine, but most of my life I was living in Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine. Um, so we met because of some interesting conversation regarding the business, and I'm sure that one day we'll go back to it because every Ukrainian, every single Ukrainian, believe that soon the things will go better and we will win and everything will be good. So me as well, I believe that soon I will get back to you and we'll keep on talking about business. So I'm one of those Ukrainians who faced the war in my country, who woke up one morning at 5 o'clock in the morning from the call that my city is being bombed and we need to run to the bomb shelter as soon as possible. I'm one of those people who haven't chance to get to their family. So like every morning I check if my family are okay or not because they're in the other part of my country. So yes, I'm one of those people who can talk. Unfortunately, who can talk about the war that is happening in my country.
So, which are you currently like the west part of the country, or where are you
Yeah,
even kind of like generally
I'm
located?
right now in the more westernish part. I would say that it feels safer here, but in general, it's not safe anywhere in Ukraine because we have alarms and sirens in every part of Ukraine. And our country is super digital right now. So, in terms of digital transformation, we are very fast. So, our government created apps and different chats where we can get the information about like alarms and the possibility of our area to be bombed. So sometimes I see those notifications that like most of the towns and cities in Ukraine had the alarm like go to the bomb shelter and stuff. So I'm westernish in the western part of Ukraine. It feels safer, but again, there is unfortunately no safe place right now in my country.
Yeah, I guess recently I've heard as well news that now also they've seen the bombings happen on the west part of the country as well. So, I guess one question from my end would be then like, why even currently stay? I know a lot of people have been trying to like run away from the country. I'm curious, like what do you personally think? Like, why have you stayed put right now?
Yeah. So before I say about my position, I talked to many people in Ukraine. To some of them decided to stay in Ukraine. Some of them had to stay in Ukraine because of some external things. They have to. They could not move, and some of people chose to go abroad. And I think that all those three cases, those are totally uh, real cases in this kind of situation because those people who are afraid and are stressed and are trying to take their families abroad, I totally understand them as well. And in Ukraine, in general, right now, nobody judge anyone. And if somebody decides to take his or her family abroad to the safer place, everyone's understand and it actually try to help to get them to the safer place. My condition is different because, as I've mentioned before, part of my family, and it's a huge part, it's my mom, it's my brother and his family. They're in the other part of Ukraine. And even though I really worry about them, unfortunately, there is no really safe way for me to get them from there. Just because even though we have evacuation trains, they're just overloaded. And basically, you have to, not all the trains even have sitting places, so you can like stand, for more than 20 hours in a trip. And my mom is not really young, so it would be too complicated for her. And if we take the bus or the car, it's also not safe because there were too many cases of cars of civilians that were shooted. The people who were trying to get evacuated, they were killed, and so on. So basically, I'm in a terrible position when, even though my family are in Ukraine and I can get them to the safe place, I just can't do this. And based on this situation, I'm staying in Ukraine because I want to be where my family is. I want to be with my relatives, with my friends. What is more, I have two brothers, and actually one of my brothers, I will not really share too many details, but
Yeah.
he has joined to protect my country. So he cannot stay with his family, and just in case he's taken there for more time, I need to be here as well. So I chose, because of this situation, I chose to stay in Ukraine. And even though I'm not in the center of all the events, like I'm not in Kiev, but I'm still in Ukraine and I'm still trying to partake in any volunteer initiatives and so on. Again, I know a lot of people who manage to go abroad, mainly, I mean, in most cases, women and kids and elder people. I think it's their choice, and probably it's better choice for them. My choice is different, and again, I have some very particular reasons for them.
Yeah, and of course, I guess as well, being I would imagine even myself, being this patriarchal side of me coming out as well. It's like, well, it's my country. Why should I leave? You guys leave. Why are you doing it here in the first place? Yeah, so I can totally
Yeah,
get
I
behind
mean,
that as well. Yeah.
you just, it was, oh my god, it just hurt so much when you had to leave the town. Like, I mean, I love my country, I love my capital, Kyiv. I spent my best years, there. I mean, I know that I have more years, but still, I was so happy there. And living my city in this kind of condition, it was just like, I don't know, one of the worst days in my life, really. So even this hurt, and I don't think I would feel okay if I would be far away from my country right now. However, I want to really say that international community and all my friends abroad, they're so supportive. Like the minute I get this worst news, I get so many messages from my friend from, believe me, all over the world. Even people who, I don't know. I had say once hi in the messenger Facebook. They reach me and say, Maria, if you want to feel safe, just come to us. We'll take care of you and the family. So I know there are options, and if my family will not feel safe, if my family don't feel safe, I mean, there are places and people who will take care of them. So yeah, I just wanted to say that the international community is super supportive, and I'm thankful to every person who just wrote me like, Maria, if everything happens, you've got where to stay. It feels much better. You don't leave, but you know that there are people right there who can support you and who can be there for you.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Yeah, I can't even imagine like if I guess a lot of people, especially here in Estonia as well, we can somewhat relate to this as well because we've had this history all the time, and even now when we talk to people here, like a lot of people are freaked out, and it's also kind of like here it's especially strange sometimes where also the media craze, it's like there's so much. Just on one point there's like fake stuff coming in, then there's kind of like real stuff, but then there's also just a lot of like fear mongering too here, so it's really hard to even understand sometimes like what's up, like what's true and what's not. I wonder like what the situation is on the ground actually, because what I've heard as well is like the actual, there's been even like in Polish, like these refugee camps, they found out that there are like some Russian spies basically in those camps. I wonder like if kind of on the ground people are kind of constantly worried about and kind of looking over the shoulder while they're just trying to find a safe place.
Yeah, let me be honest. There is kind of situation like this. First of all, the situation with the fake news is real, and of course in Ukraine it's even more strong. So I know a lot of organizations right now, they try to spread the tutorials on how to get to understand where the fake news, where the real ones, and sometimes it's difficult. And the worst thing is sometimes they are given the way that it looks like somebody's trying to help you, but then like you understand it's fake news and there is nothing good for you. So it's difficult. There are a lot of fake news, but again, there is a very clear message for every Ukrainian. That there is a list, I think there's like around 20 media that we can trust. And every time, my mom, who can be stressed sometimes in my hometown, and she's sending me some like weird stuff, I say, Mom, go to this channel, see if they posted it. If they don't, delete it and don't spread it, so this is really difficult. Also, a lot of people are not really saying their locations, where they're situated. Again, like for instance, my brother is engaged in the protection of my country, but I understand that it's not safe for him if I say this like more details.
But are you able to still somewhat keep in touch with him?
Yeah,
or
yeah, I am in touch with him, and there's not all the information. Like, even though I'm his sister, he can't really tell me everything.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
though,
Yeah, well, I've served in the Estonian military as well for a year, and I know these things
you
can be sometimes
understand.
like technically in war times they're like, you can't even have a cell phone because then they will just locate and find out where you are basically on those signals. But yeah, even for my dad, like my dad has, he lives in Finland and has like a construction company. Like he has well a couple of Ukrainian workers, and we don't even know like what has happened to them because like we just have actually never heard back. So I guess hopefully we'll still hear back from them at some point. But I don't know what kind of topics I would want to give you as much freedom to direct this conversation. Of course, I have my thoughts, but if you have a thought, feel free to jump in. I'm kind of curious as well. Like I've somewhat one kind of concern that I've had myself with like kind of the Western media and things. It seems like first this thing happened and then there was a lot of panic, but now all the time the stakes have been raised. There was just okay, so we bombed the military now. Okay, now we bombed the civilians. Now we bombed the nuclear plants, and now we're talking about like chemical weapons and nukes and whatever. And I also feel like a lot of people are already like, because every step you go a little bit kind of, I guess, crazier. People are getting a little bit numb to the stuff what's like actually happening, and I see that here as well. That people, they used to be really like up to their screens what's happening, but now it's just kind of like seems to be for people like like every other day, which is very concerning. And I'm even thinking like when I read like Western media, it's just the stuff I hear. It's even kind of gets old for me because I see just like all the government heads are just like, we condemn Russians' actions, and then they do another thing. Oh, now we condemn this action again, and then I'm like, well, sure.
It's really sad for me to say, but there is a reason for panic because those things are happening, and like there are Russians in nuclear plant territory, right? There are already over 80 kids who died. There are already the maternity hospitals that has been bombed, So I understand that, of course, media are those who create the panic. This is in some kind of way, it's kind of their job, Unfortunately, this is true. I've been working in media. I understand that sometimes you make it brighter, but even without the media, clickbaitish things, this is reality that we're living in.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's really good that this terrible reality is actually spreading in the world because, it's happening in Ukraine, but Ukraine is so close to other countries. We are part of Europe, right? So there is a panic, and panic is probably a bad thing, but understanding that crazy things are going on, it's super important right now.
Yeah, I guess my worry was that like people are kind of now getting too comfortable now. That was my kind of point, that they're always like things are always going crazier, but now it's kind of normality that Ukraine is being bombed, so it's like we're kind of used to that already, which I think is like a concerning factor for me. That we every day you see the president of Ukraine ask for the no-fly zone, for example, but I wonder I see harder and harder those things actually now like happening, even at least myself. Of course I'm I do influencer marketing. I'm not a geopolitician. I don't know that, but yeah, I wonder like if it's just kind of the support is dying down just because people are getting too used to this. I don't even know like what could be the solution there, but yeah, like what do you yourself maybe think like related to those topics, or even like what kind of other countries what they have been doing or what they maybe should or try to do more even?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And to be honest, it's the biggest fear of Ukrainians because for us, the situation getting worse was crazy things that Russians do, right? But the world, as you've told, is getting used to that. So what we are trying to do, and what a lot of my friends are actually trying to do, is to keep spreading the truthful information and to keep spreading it around, right? That's actually I reached you with this video. That's why I'm in a different like informational different groups who create the real news and spread it the world. So I think that this is really important for us right now to keep the world updated of what's going on, right? And again, I have a lot of you international friends in my Facebook, and I have my Instagram, which is an amazing actually tool to spread information. So my task as like micro or like mini influencer is to keep on saying that, guys, it's still going on and still going on, because you're totally right. I mean, people are getting used. I mean, I think there's some even Ukrainians for whom the war and like everyday death have become, I mean, I don't want to be right now to say anything bad, but like it's just it becoming the statistics, right? Like it's become the routine just to open in the morning the news and read like how many people died. Like in order for us not to have this routine, we need to keep on saying the truth. And of course, another thing is helping Ukraine right now. I every time this is my little everyday routine. Again, I have a lot of friends abroad, and every time they reach me and say, "Mariya, how are you?" I say, "Guys, thank you so much. I'm now really in a safer place, but we still need your support." So every time they reach me, I give them link to the website. I think I've sent it to you as well. How you can help Ukraine, right? So first thing is spread the information about what's going on here, and second thing is actually help us. You know, there are many ways to help our country right now. You can donate directly to our army, or you can donate directly to the charity organization who kind of helps with like medicaments, right? You can just like help with a refugee organization in your town, which is I will talk about very interesting case about that shortly. So by doing that, like by keeping updating everyone in the world, and by actually helping us to cope with our enemy, these two ways would actually, I believe that those will actually help to end it as fast as possible. And regarding the spreading the information, and again, it's not only about money. For instance, I've been communicating. I will talk about the business right now a bit, but just a bit. So when I was communicating with one of influencers who we wanted to do the collaboration, I reached her and I said, sorry for not being able to reply on time. You know, we got war going on in my country. And she said that, like, she, of course, said the supporting words. And she said, Mariya, me, and she is in the middle. I'm not even remembering which state she is, but she's somewhere in the US. And she says, we are in our small town. We created a like Ukrainian support center, and all my yoga friends, she's into yoga, we all getting the like humanitarian help, and we are sending it. And she's in the middle of US, you know, right now. So even that kind of help, you know, even just like getting with your like small community and getting some supplies and getting them here, it will help, right? So spreading the world and actually doing some actions, I think this is the best way to help us right now. Also, to be honest, it works for me. It's also a very good way not to stress too much and not to panic, you know.
Yeah, you have to keep yourself busy for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is like every time I mean, of course, I'm on the news all the time. I mean, everyone is on the news 24 hours. But when I see those, like when I feel this panic going like here, you know, okay, I will just, you know, I will just join another charity group and write some articles, or I will just make a donation. So those actions really help you to distract, and again, make the ending of this crazy thing closer. Because when you help, you know, you help the whole process of our victory and so on.
Yeah, that's cool that you found kind of like at least some sort of like a coping mechanism just to make sure that you can keep yourself sane.
Really,
What I kind of find still like, it's kind of like maybe it's still very generic I thought from me, but I find it still insane that, like, you know, nobody wants war, like literally nobody, but you know, just having one guy go bonkers and these kind of things are possible. It also kind of like, it just makes everything kind of so unpredictable. Even like, let's say, even if this situation now is resolved, like going into the future as well, like it just makes you question, I guess, everything now.
That's true.
But it also has been cool to see basically like the whole kind of world kind of rallying behind this as well. Of course, there are a couple of countries who are kind of silent or supporting Russia on this as well. But I think I've seen lots of these content pieces as well. People are saying doesn't matter what happens, but Putin will like never win, just because the only thing he has done now is rallied everybody to support Ukraine and have like an actual purpose now, which is I guess even sometimes when I see those kind of things, it even like lights me up and it's like, yes, we can do this.
It's true. I mean,
but
yeah, sorry. I just wanted just a small comment. It's true. It also helps us right now. Sometimes, when I check those, sometimes we got bad news, sometimes we get better news. When I check those bad news and then I see that, I don't know, Benedict Cumberbatch has supported Ukraine and said that it does feel better. And you say, okay, yes, we're closer to the victory and so on. But again, we have to still face the reality and like still there no like really progress. I mean, our army is amazing. My nation is just amazing. We're so consolidated right now. We are working really hard to win. Like every single Ukrainian is trying to do and at least like something for Ukraine to win. But we still need the real support, like we still like those kind words and those, I guess, social media posts, they're amazing. They help the spirit, but there's not only spirit, there's like actual physical things that we need in terms of support. But,
about military,
go ahead. No.
I was curious about military training. Does Ukraine normally did you guys have like an actual like a compulsory military training as well, or was it like volunteering? I'm curious, like what I know that you have done a lot of recruiting now, but I wonder like what's kind of the experience? Does everybody have like this like some experience or like?
No, not everyone had some experience. It was not obligatory. Like there were some conditions on which you could actually go, but it's not for everyone. There is like a special program for the students in university. It's called like a military program. So like while you're doing your studies, you can also like do like I would not say like part-time military preparation, but not everyone did that. And it's not obligatory, so you could do this or not. But again, you cannot really say it's a full preparation. It's just like a partially right now. And a very interesting situation is that I know many guys, males, who, regardless of their absolutely peaceful life that they had before, some of them have families, little kids, they went to the government and say, I want to be in the army, I want to protect the army, I'm ready for the training. They were not actually got to the trainings because we have many volunteers. We have lines of volunteers who are ready to go there, right? And it was about my brother as well. He was so willing to go there because, again, he cannot just sit while this was happening. And like he had to wait in the line of other male who were standing there. So even though most of men really didn't have a special preparation, once this kind of situation happened and the war began, there were a lot of volunteers who wanted to get this preparation and stuff.
Okay, so there is some preparation, right? It's just like sometimes, again, I guess listening to like looking at the media, like they very much like make you kind of believe the assumption that they just give you the AK and then they're like go that direction and that's it. So it's like that's not the entire truth.
It's totally not true. I mean, I'm not sure. Like I heard a lot of news that this is how they do in Russia because there were a lot of freshly recruited soldiers that are right now in Ukraine, and it's a fact, right? So there are a lot of cases like this. Even the ministry has approved that. In Ukraine, it's not like this. I mean, you will have a proper preparation. You will be equipped. You will learn. It will, like, again, my brother said that it will take a lot of time until they actually take him there for the training, even though he was willing and he was ready to be there. So there is a preparation, and only prepared mental and physically guys go there. They're all prepared. And again, we have a lot of volunteers who wants to get this preparation. So it's not like they're made to go there, they want to go there. And very interesting, again, it's just the case that I wanted to mention. So I got the message on LinkedIn today, and I decided to see what's LinkedIn Ukrainian community is doing right now. And this is sad, but also for me, it's very amazing that many of my friends who used to be developers, who I know that were super cool IT specialists, they basically wrote on the LinkedIn, like, sorry to all wonderful recruiters of Ukraine, I'm protecting my country right now. Once I'm back, send me again the message about the job position, So, I mean, those guys were coding, like they were never meant to be for the army, but right now they're sending the pictures of them being in the military with the military equipment. So now, why I really happy that I can talk to you right now is to tell you, and actually like as many people as possible, that though it's difficult and though we really need the support from the world, from our neighbors, from Europe, from America, inside of our hearts, inside our nation, we are as strong as we've never been. I've never seen my country. I mean, I'm talking right now and I can hear the goosebumps on my hands, because I've never seen so much consolidation and so much love to our land as right now. So even though in terms of military equipment and finance, we need help, inside our hearts, right? And like inside our mentality, we are as strong as we'll never be. And after this, like after I don't want to say travel, but after this, okay, I will just call it the way. Like after this war, I think Ukraine will be like different country in a good way, because we right now understand the price for our country. We now understand the price for our culture, and we're now as consolidated as we'll never been before. So I mean, again, even though it's terrible that what's going on, but for the nation, for the formation of Ukrainian nation, for the further development and our culture as well, it's a huge leap. It's a huge step up, because I mean, again, we're just getting through the amazing things. I mean, I never seen anything like this. So supportive, everyone, so loving the country, so ready to help. It's amazing. I'm so proud. I've never been as proud of being Ukrainian as these days.
Yeah, I can imagine if there were any problems beforehand, then now everybody's united under one purpose. I wonder if there's because part of me, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but part of me is spreading information, and that always is like awesome and good, but I always feel like, we have to be doing something more. So I'm also curious, if you want to, maybe don't want to get too political, let me know, but I'm even wondering, the no-fly zone and these kind of things always come up. I'm curious, what do you personally think about this? Should really the NATO make this happen, or because everybody here is then kind of scared of the nukes and these kind of things? Curious to hear actually from you, not like a news headline.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, it's not political question right now. It's the question of life of my Ukrainians, right? It's a question of life of people that I know. So, of course, I'm all for the no-fly sky in Ukraine. And again, I'm supporting in terms of information this as possible, as much as I can. This would totally help us right now. I'm also kind of getting pessimistic about that, because again, there's so much information, there's so much evidence why we need this, but there is still kind of no progress. I think that on our side as the citizens, our government is doing amazing things in terms of that. On our side as the citizens, we keep on talking about that on our levels, keep on spreading information. Again, even in my video, if I'm right, there is also no war, no fly sky for Ukraine. I think I also have this message there. So, I mean, being pessimistic, there are reasons for that. I totally agree with you. Will those actions make the situation better? Well, we hope, right? So we hope. So doing the maximum. This is our information. Again, the government do this more on a political side. Me, for instance, as a content creator myself, as a person content, I'm showing this through the content, right? I'm showing this through the news, through the media, why we need this. And I think that to get, again, since we're united, government, people, and the people around us, I think that those actions will actually lead. But, very typical situation for all the Ukrainians, and I'll be really honest with you because I talk to all the people all the time and asking them how they feel. So every Ukrainian that I talk to, they have this kind of situation. So you wake up in the morning and you, like our media always try to get the news, like try to get at least something good, because there are victories. I mean, our army is actually doing the great things. So you wake up in the morning, sometimes you see the sun in the window and you're so, oh my God, Ukraine, we're gonna win. You do all this like news, you just reach all your international. Then, like hour after hour, you get some bad, like worse news. You get the news about sky not being yet closed above Ukraine. You get like terrible. Like I know a lot of people that they have like 15-minute cry, and you just can't stop. They cry, it's depressed, then it go and again and again. So mentally it's so difficult. Like you're not stable, like 1 minute you're very active and positive, another minute you just can't breathe because you're just crying. And I felt it myself, all my friends felt it like this. So it's always like this, right? So but again, this is about a question about being pessimistic. At one time you're pessimistic, but then you understand that being pessimistic doesn't help anything, right? So you go back to positive and you do your maximum. So this is like actually Ukrainian media, I think one of our media actually shared this kind of picture, and there was a caption like, it's okay that you feel this, like everyone do this. So it's like this. And it's again a lot of very cool initiatives. I want more to talk about the mental part of it. Right now in Ukrainian society, there are many initiatives about psychological support of people. Especially, you would like, it's very interesting, but the biggest problem right now in Ukraine is actually feeling guilty that you are safe and alive. And I've talked to all my friends, and all of them felt this. They said that I don't feel okay because I'm like sleeping on the bed sheets, and I'm alive. So there is a huge I don't know how to say, like huge project that help people to get rid of this guilty feeling that you're alive, to show that this is what our army is actually doing for, right? They're doing so you're safe, so you're alive. So again, mentally, it's for me. I think it was like the worst days in my life. And for many people it's like this. So we have right now a lot of different projects and volunteers who works with the people and try to help them and support them and so on, and this helps. And I know that a lot of people really use those projects, use those volunteer things. I know that there is a society of mothers, Ukrainian mothers, who, as we've talked with you earlier, who didn't want to leave their country. They didn't, like, I know a good friend of mine, she has a little son, he is 3 years old, and they live in the center of Kiev, like basically in the downtown. And she said that, like, in my heart, I would never leave my town. It's my town. I mean, my heart is here. But she's got a little son, and he was waking up every hour from bombing, like close to him. So she had to leave the city, obviously, to get him to the safe place. But she says that she has such a great feeling of guilty, such a like huge, that she just can't bear it, right? So she is trying, she's talking to like people who can help her to get rid of this, because she had to do this. She had to take her son to the safe place. So mentally, there is a lot of struggles. But again, because we're so united right now, when we understand that there is a necessity to help people with their mental problems, we had a lot of volunteers who are willing to dedicate their time and to support them. So again, because of our consolidation, even this kind of huge, I mean, probably very difficult to solve problem is being solved right now with the help of others.
That's so cool. Yeah. mental health, since I've had some issues with it myself, it can really wreck you. So you definitely need that support. I'm curious, how do Ukrainian people right now see this thing progressing themselves? You mentioned like, yeah, it makes sense. It's a kind of like a roller coaster, but I wonder overall,
Yeah.
like, I think as I see, everybody's very hopeful, but like, how do you think things will kind of progress now?
Um, from my it's not, I mean, I didn't do the questionnaire, it's not statistics, but from what I've heard from, again, my friends and family and colleagues, I'm trying to be in touch with everyone right now. We are very aimed for the victory. I mean, we don't accept anything else. Like, we know that we will win. We are strong, we believe in that. Again, sometimes when there are too many bad news, people get negative and it influence, but because, again, our government is also united with us, and we're so, like, I mean, you will, I don't know how to explain this, but somehow when the Ukrainians feel down and feel like this kind of moment that we talk to you, somehow the government send the right message, and we say, okay, so yes, there are problems, we always get the real situation, but there are victories and we're going there, right? So um in general, what I hear from everyone is that we're positive about victory, and uh, we are going to win. When we got those down moments, usually there is a support from each other and the government. So what I see right now, it's more about the positive, like, attitude about
Yeah,
the
I think
army
you've
again.
done like the whole country or the government has done a really good job there, because I've noticed even myself, you mentioned before, getting goosebumps. Like, I've had this a moment even myself sometimes when reading the news, and it's like, yeah, they're stuck somewhere on the road or running out of gas, or this famous TikTok trends of like the babushka giving like sunflower seeds to like soldiers. It's like
Yeah.
that, yeah, all of those things
Um,
really, I think, contribute to the whole, like, I guess, yeah, positive vibes.
Yeah, another thing, and this is something that really most of Ukrainians will understand. Ukrainian nation has amazing humor. So in the, like, worst situation that we have, we always can make a joke about it, and that's why actually TikTok is a very good source. And the evidence of that is that even when, like, I mean, people are doing TikToks when they're in the bomb shelters for like 3 days. They're in the bomb shelters in the cold underground placement, but they do some TikToks with like jokes. Oh my God, how hot is Ukrainian presidents and stuff, right? All those memes about, yes, this babushka is about the seeds, and we have like a whole, I know, I have on my phone a whole collection of the military memes, right? So when I see that somebody is down, I was like, hey, I got some memes here, and I send them. And this is one of our weapons, and I'm very serious right now. I mean, the way we can laugh about things being hard, the way we can make a joke out of it, it also helps to keep more there, than there. And I've actually talked about this too with my mom. Is that this is one of those, like, unfortunately you cannot ask for that kind of help from outside, but inside the country, this is how we do this. We try to joke. I mean, sometimes it's bittersweet, of course, it's not always and you understand this, but still it kind of keeps you,
Yeah.
it keeps you
Another,
alive,
yeah, it's again coming back to this coping mechanism. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
curious though, are you
exactly.
also in touch with any like any Russians itself as well? I wonder like how, my assumption now would be that most people, at least on the West, have kind of like an understanding that it's just like one guy gone mad, and that's not the whole of Russian population. I wonder like what it's like on the ground again.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be honest, I don't have any friends among Russians. I am half Russian, actually. Part of my family were from Russia, but we lost contact many years ago, and I've never talked about this. Actually, I don't think it's about politics. It's just, sometimes that
Yeah.
happens because I'm very, like, we're not there anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
even I have
most,
relatives. I have my uncle lives in Russia and got a Russian wife, and like I communicate with my cousin there as well in English, because well, she was born in Russia, doesn't speak Estonian. I don't speak Russian really, so we communicate in English. Yeah, so it happens.
So how is it going in terms of your conversation? I was
We
wondering.
actually like truthfully, like we actually haven't discussed much of it. Probably, I should have more had these conversations with her, especially now, since Russia is also restricting like Instagram and channels. I think something that I kind of subconsciously tried to do was to share some Instagram stories and these kind of things myself, to kind of, at least showcase what's happening, because sometimes I would see, she would post pictures of like walking the kid outside in a lovely weather, and then I would be kind of, well, I don't know if that's like the most appropriate thing to be sharing, but also it's like, of course, like they have their lives, necessarily, she didn't do anything as well. So I guess, I've tried to contribute as well with sharing the content, but yeah, just to I guess be blatantly honest, I haven't had those conversations, because it's kind of like, yeah, it's also a hard conversation, I guess, to have. Also, it's kind of like, hey, what's happening there? Because I guess a lot of, yeah, I have even no idea what they might. She's based in St. Petersburg, so I don't even know what kind of news she's getting there.
It really depends on the city in Russia, but from my experience of my friends, is once you start discussing political situation with the Russians, you either stop talking or just destroy the conversation, like the communication and the relationship. Unfortunately, this is true. There are some cases, and I know that there are some cases when Russian and Ukrainian relatives are on one side and Russians feel and see the real situation. But from what I heard from all my friends, it's rarely goes well in terms of the political, unfortunately.
Yeah, what I've heard is that the government even like checks people's phones. So I guess
it's I mean, and also it's really, even if if you find out that those, like, they have different political views and they're influenced by propaganda, you can try to persuade them, but it probably will have no results. So either you do like we just discussed it with you, so you just don't touch. I mean, if you value your relationship with your Russian relatives, you just don't touch those topics. But for us right now, not to touch topics about, again, what's going on here, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So probably you touch the topics, probably you have different visions, and like this ends your relationship. So yeah, I don't have such experience myself, just because we kind of lost contact. But I know a lot of cases like this, and it's difficult because there are a lot of actually family ties, right? So there are a lot of people who actually used to even talk. So and they can be like good people and they can love each other as a family. But this political, again, as we said, this like crazy things in one guy's head just destroyed whole family. And I know the cases like this, like in my hometown. There, like my mom's best friend, she got the son who went to Russia. This is her son. She loves him, but like because of politicals, that they just cannot talk, because he doesn't believe her that her town is being bombed, that he's got like that she spends more time in the bomb shelter than in like outside, right? So this is terrible. I mean, this is terrible, but also
Yeah,
I don't
it
think
is.
that's
Yeah, how it's like,
good.
first of all, like, why would anybody lie about such things? And then also it's like, but it can kind of show how, years of kind of manipulating the media, and how really it can like work, I guess, wonders on their side.
There is a very famous local influencer. Again, I'm into influencers, right? So he recently posted the story that he talked to his father, and his father didn't believe Misha, his name is Misha, that his home was being bombed. So this influencer had created a special movement with special tutorials on how to speak to those people who don't believe you, that you're about to be like killed, especially if those are your relatives. So I mean, this is father, I'm not talking about the friends or like some bloggers. I'm talking about your father, who don't believe that your whole family and you're in a danger. So this is, this is terrible situation. But again, I'm really happy that I didn't had a chance and the necessity to explain this kind of things to anyone. For me, right now, my surrounding are only those people who understand the situation, and we're on the same page. But yeah, the families are destroyed, and never. Rarely when those conversations really lead to desirable results. Unfortunately, in most cases, the results are very sad.
Yeah. Um, I wonder, have you also heard any stories about other countries get involved from their side too? Like I haven't heard much now on the media side, but what I heard from my dad who had those Ukrainian workers is that, there are some other nationalities, it seems as well, like who kind of are showing up on the Russian side of things too. Like, have you heard anything about that, or like, do you even think there's any truth to that?
We constantly get some news about like things that some countries are not commented the decisions, right? Or I just don't want to get too political in terms of that. So I will more talk about my personal level. Of course, there are some countries that don't support Ukraine. Some do this not very obviously. Some do this obviously, and this is like the way they communicate. In terms of my experience of again people from around the world who are reaching us, I've got again very clear vision of everyone's that we want to support you in the war against Russia, and if there is anything we can help you to get rid of like the Russian army, just let us know. In terms of politicals, yeah, there are a lot of countries that either don't support us or actually refuse to support us, but I just don't really get to get into that much politics.
Okay. Yeah, I guess one I don't know if you want to comment on that, but one thing what I've thought about myself was that when it kind of even started, I was already assuming that NATO will kind of like not want to get too much involved because of the nuclear threat and whatever other threats. So in my head, I was kind of only way kind of I saw it really kind of finish is if the Russian people kind of rise up against the whole system themselves. Like I wonder like what your point of view is on that, and even like it's even amazing actually to see in Russia getting those news feeds that there are still people who get it and kind of are against the regime, and even starting with those soldiers who kind of get sent there and they have even no idea what they're doing there.
Right away. Right away. Recently, there were news about kids taken to the division of the police because they went with holsters. Like, come on, they were like 7 years old. So
I find that as well very like ridiculous. Even that the whole kind of the government structure is that we are so scary and fearful and strong that you should kneel before us, but then we're also kids can't say can we have like peace, can we have peace basically, we're gonna throw them in jail.
So I will be honest with you, at the beginning a part of the communication that most of Ukrainians were having towards Russian population is race. Talk about this. You don't want this. We're sure you don't want to see your neighbors, to see a part of the family members being killed just for what? Just for nothing, just for someone's crazy decision. And a lot of work has been done. I'll be honest, I'm not going to get into details, but a lot of work in terms of Ukrainian communication has been done, and in terms of our international friends. So far, it didn't bring any results. Firstly, probably because people are just afraid. We've all seen these cases when the people were having those posters with just peace, nothing about Ukraine, just peace in the world, and they were taken. So you were talking about like pessimistic things. From my side, what I see is people getting a bit more pessimistic about trying to persuade Russians to race from this. There's still things that everyone's do. There is still a lot of initiatives of sending the right message, sending the right information to Russian population, to just people. Did they show the results? Not so many. So if we're talking about general results about Ukraine, we're very positive and we're working hard on it. If we're talking about hope that this will be stopped from inside the country of Russia, I'd say they're more pessimism about that than optimism.
Okay.
Regardless, there's still attempts, there's still work that has been done to help this and to send the right message to government, but yeah, or to people. But unfortunately, it's not bringing those results. I mean, for us, for Ukrainians who had Maidan on 2014, when we, when we see that our government is not doing the right job, we all race. I mean, the whole country raced. We have all people going on there. For us, of course, at the beginning, we thought, people, come on, you can stand up, you can talk. And then when we see that even with this kind of situation, our neighbors are not doing that, well, yeah, we kind of give up. We are not like this. If we see that something is not fair, we will stand there till the end. This is what happened in 2014, right? And we thought that would be like this, but we see that we're just different.
Yeah, I already actually in the beginning thought that, I guess having the kind of the Estonian history here as well, I already would have kind of guessed that, it's not going to be as easy as, Russia comes in and then everybody runs away. I already assumed that, yeah, it's having kind of independence away from the Soviet Union has been really like, that's like, for a lot of the countries, it's like the only thing that they don't want to be associated with. Like, even for Estonians, whenever I talk to like new companies based in US, I'm like, yeah, we're like Nordic, Finland over there, not Eastern Europe, Soviet Union. Yeah. Okay, but is there anything else you would yourself specifically want to discuss, or ideas that you have?
Yeah, so for me, talking right now is I actually get chance to again get myself a proper makeup and face. I mean, I'm honest right now, yeah, to look okay on the video. I just want to tell the truth. It's not everyone get this opportunity. And again, I know a lot of people who are staying in shelters for many days. Some of them lack food, and some of them lack drinks. I had a lot of friends whose families are in Mariupol, and they could not get in touch with their relatives for over 5 days. And I just don't understand how it is to feel when you don't know if your relatives are alive or not. So even though, again, we are really, really positive and stuff, there's still a lot of people who are suffering. And I just want people to understand that, right?
Yeah, and I guess...
So, yeah. Sure,
sorry. I was about to say as well that it's really, I guess, sometimes I guess it's, it's good to have that rally and positive mindset as well, but sometimes it's good to also kind of sit in that horribleness and really to kind of push people to take action. And like something as well that kind of pushed me into this now a little bit further as well was, I don't even know if it's true or not, but as well, like I heard through my dad that there's been talks about war crimes and these kind of things as well. But from his side, I even heard things like, they would hide mines basically under wood, like dead soldiers basically. So if somebody goes, checks who they are, basically would like blow them up too. So it's like, don't see a lot of those kind of things in the news. I wonder if it's like too graphic for them. There are, of course, sometimes they kind of they've shared these things about like the bombings of the children hospitals and these kind of things. But I wonder if even those really gruesome stories is sometimes that you might also need to really like push to take action. Because for me, this really kind of I even kind of, I'm partly guilty of this as well, that I was every day kind of getting tired of now, just as I said before, every day it's just like, okay, US condemns Russians' actions, UK condemns, and every day they just condemn actions. It's like, sure, like what do you want me to do? But now as well, like hearing those kind of stories, I'm like, hey, this is actually like, this is really messed up, and there is a high chance, especially like if you're in Europe, who knows what's going to happen next if this kind of continues there.
Exactly. So here I would say that the sensitivity of content is very relative these days. And even though before that, I was trying to surround myself with the positive content, with some amazing bloggers. Right now, I see those terrible, scary pictures of people getting killed. And unfortunately, we have to share them. I mean, we get this stuff every day, and this stuff, you cry about it. You just can't, but you need to watch it, and you need to share it. The video that I shared on my Instagram was the very scary things where you can see that the child died in after the um, shelling. Before that, I would never share anything like this. I would never watch it, but this is the reality right now. So we've got a lot of news. It kind of gets to routine, but even though we got a lot of those news every time, it hurts and it breaks heart. And I think it's important to share those news, to share them around the world as well, just because again, this is the reality. Like we cannot hide that we can just share the pictures of cool volunteers who managed to save, I don't know, elderly couple or kitten from the thing. But we also have to share how the pregnant women get outside of the bombed maternity hospital, right? We need to show that there were 3 people killed in Irpin, or there are more, but I mean they're civilians who were killed while being evacuated, while trying to get to a safer place. Those are gruesome. Those are terrible pictures, but we need to see them, we need to show them, and we need to spread them. So yes, this is how my news stream looks right now. This is how it looks right now, and unfortunately, I think that this is how the world's news stream has to look right now as well. Just because if we don't talk about this, if we don't show what's going on here, like there will be no progress in fighting against it. It's difficult. It's terrible. I mean,
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
and I'm not talking about again. Yeah, and it's crazy just because before that I was reading on the news, but now on my social media I see more and more posts of people who share it about their friends, about their loved ones, about their parent being lost. So it's getting closer and closer, to our lives. And so I don't want it to get closer. I think that we need to show the truth, even though it's terrible and it's really scary, because otherwise, like, without the truth, we will not be able to choose the proper way to fight it. So yeah, this is how it goes. And even though there are a lot of very cute stories, for instance, there are stories of people getting married on like this training centers.
Yeah.
There are people who make like there are some people who get this very interesting stories. They're actually very cute pictures of little kids who've been born in the bomb shelters. I mean, this is just, on the one hand, it's terrible because I mean, this is not how they should be born. This is not the conditions, but also there is a life, right? So they got the chance, and this is very good that we share the good news as well.
100%.
But
I remember
the bad news and the bad pictures, they have to be there.
Yeah, 100% agree, because on our news as well, I think like one thing that light me up as well a lot was literally there was one lady who went across the border to Poland, to a refugee camp, and he was just carrying her cat, and somehow the cat being safe in Poland made my heart just melt, and I was like, yes, this is now the best day ever. The cat is safe. Okay, I was about to say that, yeah, the Ukrainian will, everything has been so strong that I think, I'm now a big believer as well that, doesn't matter what happens, if even like most of the country would get occupied, then I think, it will never end until, Ukraine will come on top of this. It's like, doesn't matter how many cities you can bomb or take, there will be always a resistance after this. And even, you've kind of already seen that in certain cities where, yes, they took over the city. I think there was also a situation where they kind of like replaced the government head or the city mayor or something too. But it's like, local people are just rallying on the streets and protesting against this. So it's like the whole kind of Putin's kind of message, or like why he needs to even do this, is completely like falling apart, because the whole idea behind this was like Ukraine is Russia anyway. It's always been Russia. They don't have their identity. West has, whatever, Nazis has put Nazis there, even though the president is Jewish, and but it's like, if you have a city protest against this, that no, we want to be Western, it's like, the whole thing kind of collapses. That we do have our own culture, we do,
Exactly, you cannot.
Oh, I think I'm losing you again. Oh no, you're still here.
It's okay, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of like, just my train of thought. What I wanted to finish was like, I think, no matter what, there isn't any other option really than, Ukraine will still exist, and you can't just take it away, no matter how many kind of troops you throw at it.
Thank you. It's important to hear that people around the world also share this opinion, and our positive, our high level is not just among Ukrainians but also in the world. This is really important to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I think a lot of people even here, like I see somewhat again, I see some of this roller coaster here as well, when the nuclear bomb sites were first kind of happening. People like even bought out all of the iodine like from the shops in case something happens. But also now it's like we have as well like the actual military, and then we have the volunteering military thing, and it's like it's as it's been the most popular as it's ever been. Everybody is like, yes, sign me up, I'm ready if something happens. So we've seen this huge impact happen here too. Yeah.
You see how it's changing the whole. This is what we are saying, that it's a war in Ukraine, but it's changing the whole world. And this is why it's so important for the whole world to stand with Ukraine right now, because it's not only our history, it's the world history. There is a very famous Ukrainian poet, and he also writes the prose and poems, Serhiy Zhadan, who is now the laureate of the sorry, I just forgot the name of the very prestige award. Oh, like Nobel Prize, I think. So he's right now is very, very famous in the world as well. He said a very interesting phrase that the story is rewritten right now, and it's rewritten with in Ukrainian language, So to make sure that the story is, even though it's written in Ukrainian language, but everyone, all the countries can help to write this right poem, right? To have the right final of this story that is written right now. But this is really important for the world to get engaged and to help, because it's not Ukrainian history, it's the world history right now.
Yeah, I don't know even how much you know about stuff happening here, but like even in Estonia, we have had, when there was some other refugee crisis, like Estonia has been very locked up. It's like, if there were 10 refugees coming into our country, it was like people were like freaking out and it was the end of times basically. But now I've heard about numbers like there are about like 10,000 Ukrainians going to be here, and it's like everybody's like super helpful. Nobody cares. People are again as well like offering their own places. We've had these organizations where you can even kind of like sign up and basically share your own household with the people as well. So it's been totally amazing as well. I know at some point we had even like a bus going from Estonia to Ukraine. It's probably still going.
Do you know anyone who actually hosted Ukrainian right now, or like do you know anyone with this kind of cases?
I don't know in Estonia yet, but I know one of my colleagues in Germany is going to host, but they haven't arrived there yet. But yeah, I will keep you updated if I hear some stories. Gotcha. Yeah, I was just saying that like it's kind of wild as well in some ways, but like we had the bus basically taking Ukrainians men to go to the front lines, and basically we would take women and children back as refugees then. So I think that bus is constantly coming back and forth here all the time too. And actually one of our news reporters who funny, he was kind of like a comedian himself at some day, but now he's like a serious kind of like a reporter type of a person. He as well had the same thing, staying at the Polish campsite, where he was like, yeah, I feel kind of guilty of staying in like a room, but the Polish police commanded us that we stay there, but he was like, yeah, I'd rather give this bed to somebody else. But yeah, it's also like there's, and what we also see from my side, there's even, Estonia is a small country. It's like 1 million people here. It's probably like a small city for you. So even for us, they have like a whole like a Estonia kind of like volunteering headquarters set up there. There's no like government officials that have set it up. It's just random Estonian people who have set the whole thing up, just like gathering flashlights and fresh water and like bread and things. So it's like it's also really cool to see how just any random people just taking up the initiative and going there and supporting, which I find yeah, it even kind of motivates. I'm even sitting now here, it's like, damn, I'm not doing enough. I'm just here talking in my office.
No, as I've told you before, it's my opinion, talking is already the way to help and support. So yeah, but really it's amazing. Like, thank you for sharing. Actually, I heard some stories as well, and I appreciate. And this is what I'm saying, that nobody make them to do this. It's not like governmental thing. People just decide by themselves. They just want to help. So this is what I heard from you, is that it's not only consolidation and uniting of our people, it's showing how the world can be united.
Yep.
This problem in our country is actually united the world. So again, it's
even like, if I'm not too much into politics, especially like in my own local politics, but even like looking at basic things like support for like far right parties and like people who have parties that have been more like Russian leading, all of their basically, I guess, the popularity or whatever you call it has plummeted basically. So it is uniting basically everybody around the same cause again. So yeah, it is like, even for like our small country, it has had a big impact. And I think where previously, I would say even before this, I think you would hear maybe a lot of stories that if war happened or something, I will just like fly away somewhere and not be here. I think a lot of people have shifted that mindset and now and be like, no, I will stay here till the end of times.
Yeah. Amazing. I really want that there were no reasons for such decisions, no even cases like this. But also, yeah, when you understand, like, unfortunately, with this sad situation, you can actually start valuing your independence, your land, your nation, right? So again, it would be good if there would be other reasons or other ways to teach and learn this lesson. But even with this kind of negative situation, there is a huge positive impact of people understanding the value of their country, of their nation, of happy morning. For Ukrainian people, a happy morning without sirens, with peaceful morning is a luxury right now. So you start seeing the whole world. You start appreciate everything. Every meeting with your family is now a holiday. Hugging your mom or your colleague is a happiness, and it's changing yourself as well, right? You got different things. Several days ago I wrote a post that like a lot of people supported me and said that they feel the same, that at one point all the things that were meaningful for you before, like, I don't know, the way you, like, how do you look, like, what did you took with you to your work, what did you eat today, or like, what kind of iPhone do you have? It just has absolutely no reason to worry about this. All it means right now is life of your loved ones, your family ones, of your life and safety, and like the independence and the unity of your country. All the other things, they just be like you don't even recollect them. You just don't remember them. So this shifts a lot of things in yourself, and I'm glad that it's shifting the values also around the world, not only in about Ukraine. I think it's a good shift. I think it's a good things to learn, even though we're paying a big price for that. But it's changing us in a good way.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I 100% agree with everything what you just said. Yeah, I guess we could probably talk endlessly about this. Is there something else you want to discuss? I'm even like now, like I guess, the whole situation. When I'm just trying to think like what else there is to discuss, but it's just so ridiculous in a lot of ways. Where it's like in Russians in Putin's I guess point of view, it's like we can't help Ukraine, but it's okay if he sends troops to Belarus, for example. Like that's insane. It's like how one thing can be right and one thing can't be right, and it's just like when you also talked about fake news, like there's even like extra levels to that. Like you can. I think I've seen in some cases where it's like there has been like a manufactured fake news that has been shown light in the kind of like that's positive towards Ukraine, but then it's kind of flipped around and shown that, hey, see, Ukrainians see the fake news, hey, believe kind of Russian stuff. But it was kind of manufactured in the first place, which also kind of like makes the whole kind of I guess, yeah, already having this media experience is crazy in itself, that you can have, TikTokers on front lines, and it's like, it's wild. But yeah, do you have any questions for me? Maybe I think like I've covered kind of in conversations most. I'm kind of looking at my notes now, but I think most of the things I've already covered. I wonder if one thing that I didn't cover, I see, is that do you think like is there? I'm sure that there is some scare, but is there any like nuclear threat? Do you think like do people actually still believe it, or it's more like it's just kind of talk? It will kind of never happen.
There is a talk, and sometimes this talk gets more intense. Then other things happen, you kind of forget about this, and then there is another talk. Also, again, we have Chernobyl nuclear plant. We have other places that are dangerous and that are now occupied with the Russian army, and they don't let anyone there. So there is a talk, and it's serious and it's intense. So there is a threat. It didn't go anywhere. I mean, other bad news didn't deprive us of this threat. So. And this is, again, why it's important to talk about this, is because if there is a threat, the clear threat, it's not only for Ukraine. I mean, it's for the whole world.
Yeah. Considering kind of, I guess, general media, I would get an assumption myself that it isn't really like a thing to worry about. So it is, I guess, kind of refreshing to see that, should still kind of be worried about it. It only can, it's kind of like a split-second thing that can happen, really.
Yeah, I think it's something that should be considered and should be, I don't want to say motivation, because motivation is more the positive thing, but it should be a motivation for people to regard this information.
Take action, at least, yeah.
Seriously, because there is still a threat, and we see it very clearly. We're just not maybe panicking, because we're just like, we cannot panic about everything. I mean, again, we try to stay there, as I've told you, but there is a threat, and it didn't go.
I guess for a lot of people as well, it's like, making sure that they're also are fed properly, that they're mentally well, having those kind of concerns is already like too much to think about at the same time. Yeah. But yeah, do you have some thoughts, questions for me, or anything else you would like to share?
I'm just wondering, just a small thing, like, are you having the communication with other Ukrainians right now? Maybe someone shared something different from what I told you. I'm just wondering how it is.
I haven't been really actively in touch, like actually having conversations. I have one similar contact like you, who I've like kind of contacted with like basically like business wise to talk like influencer marketing and make business somehow, money somehow. But with them, I haven't really heard back from them. And then I do have a couple of like I went to like an international university here. I studied film. And there we had a couple of like Ukrainian students there as well. Usually what I see through that is kind of sharing similar things, what I guess normally in social media has been shared. Usually these like protests or kind of the kind of war images and these kind of things. Haven't had very like actually in-depth conversations because most of my connections as well, they're not really based in Ukraine. They have been already for a long time lived in Estonia, so it's probably also like a little bit different for them than it must be for you there.
Yeah, but I heard the stories that for people who are Ukrainians but not are in Ukraine right now, it's worse because they feel really, helpless. And so I'm actually really happy that I'm staying here, and that if there is something they need from me and there is some like money that we need to collect or some goods that you can bring, like you can do this. For people who are like in other countries, it's just complicated.
Maybe one thing I did forget. You mentioned that in the beginning that your company has been super like supportive basically. I wonder like how I was wondering like do you still do any work at all, or how does the money stuff even happen? And
Very good
and
question.
actually I can give you one more thought about this as well, how how it's affected everybody else as well. A couple of other companies I've talked to, for example in Poland, they have they wanted to do influencer stuff as well with us and so on and so forth, but they've actually like frozen their bank accounts as well to not like buy in any new products and services just in case something happens. So
Oh
I'm
my.
also seeing like some activity on the business landscape as well, that people are kind of saving the money up for certain scenarios that might or may not happen.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very interesting thing to learn, to be honest. I mean, I could understand that about Ukrainian businesses, but about the Polish and our neighbors, this is interesting insight. Firstly thing, yeah, like I don't want to get too much, so it doesn't look like
Yeah,
PR,
100%. Yeah.
but my company supported us a lot, and they helped us with the proper transportation, with the mental support. They were in touch. They're still in touch with each of us. I feel really safe with my country, with my company helping me, and my country as well, actually. Regarding the business, there is a very clear message right now among Ukrainians that there is a fight, but also we need to get our economy to the level because we need to make money. We need to rebuild. I mean, our cities are destroyed. We need to make money to rebuild those cities. We need to make money to get those money to the charity, to buy those weapons, to buy the medicine. So for people who can and for businesses who can go on right now, they go on with the business. And my company is like this. We are very actively supporting different charity initiatives. We are very actively supporting Ukraine in different kind of projects. But also we are trying to work because we need to keep on the economy. And that's why at the very beginning I told you that we will definitely get back to business once we get settled a bit, and once we know that each of our team members are in a safe place. It's not like this, unfortunately, yet. But once we're all gathered and we're all in a safe place, I will go back. And again, this shows how we are. Like most of my friends right now, they're actually working twice or three times more, but they also do some volunteer because A, they have to bring the money to their country. B, it actually helps you because you don't get too much into news. You kind of focus more on the work. And three, this is how we are. Like, we're Ukrainians. We can do this. We believe that we can help our country and we can work and we can keep on doing the business.
Yeah. And
So,
there are other people actually in other countries as well, which you may not be aware of, is that because I talk to so many companies now these days, and for I think one or two of them I reached out as well, and they were like, "Hey, I'm happy to discuss this at a later date." They were not like Ukraine. I think they were maybe even based in UK, but they were like, "I'm volunteering to help Ukraine right now, so at least for like a month or two, like I won't be working or doing anything basically." So it's also cool to see that
wow.
people are putting aside their own careers or things to really just do whatever they can to help.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is like this developers, JavaScript guys who were like computer guys sitting right there in the computer, never even talking to me because they don't usually talk, and they're right there. But for me, like I know that what I can do, I can spread the information, right? I can donate as much as I can, but to donate, I need to make money. I need to develop Ukrainian business. Our business is still Ukrainian. So for people who can work, who find the power and the mental like stability to work, they do. However, there is absolutely no pressure. So again, like some of our colleagues, they don't get in touch with their families who are in difficult districts right now. Of course, it's company totally understand that there is no pressure and they can back to work. For me, I'm in a relatively safe place right now. I'm like ready, to work. I'm in touch with my family, so I know that it would be better like I could spend like hours crying as I did the first days with my phone, but instead I can work and help my project develop. So this is what I'm doing. So we are just trying for those who can protect our country. They are right there on the front line right now. For those who can support our country in an economic way, that's what we are doing. So again, as I told you, we are so united and consolidated that we're like like a family. Okay, you do this, you do this. I take care of kids and stuff. This is
and I think people even here are starting to see more the importance of Ukraine as well. Now they're kind of saying as well that Ukraine is kind of the Earth's garden, especially in Europe. That a lot of our food type produce come from Ukraine, and now even we have sometimes here shops that are like, for some certain items, they actually are starting to limit how much you can buy because the flow of this produce isn't really there because of the situation. So yeah, I think I guess that's another thing for bring up initiative for our people to again make sure that you don't just forget what's happening there.
Yeah. This is a very good point as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Really, it's really interesting to hear the other vision because again, I mostly talk to people here in the but also I'm really happy that in most of cases, I think in all of the cases, we're on the same page. It's really good, and that's what I see among all the people around the world that I talk to, that the world is mainly on the same page, and this is very important. So we're all united.
100%. I think the only people that are not on the same page are kind of who have been in the system of getting constantly somewhat like, I guess, blatant word is brainwashed, but I guess I also my girlfriend is Chinese, and sometimes also it's interesting to hear that perspective because in China's it's like but yeah, there is a lot of support for Putin there still because it's that's that's kind of the news that you get there, and that's what's happening. And but yeah, even some people like her mom, they did call and were like, hey, are you still okay, basically, because she used to live in Ukraine for 2 years. So there is I would say, I guess, similar to Russia, so there is some small community that's kind of worried about what's happening, but yeah, there is still again that part of the main part of the community who kind of get the government fed news and media. So
yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, but I guess I'll let you go. It's been super nice to chat with you.
Yeah,
if there's any, we can keep this up. If something else comes up, I will try to do my best to get this up as quickly as possible. If again I can do anything to help, I'm a starving startup person here, but if there's anything I can do, I'm more than happy to help. Yeah.
No, the best thing, I mean, thank you for even having the conversation and actually for sharing those positive news. For me, it's important. Again, I speak to many people around, and I'll be happy to share it with them as well. Another thing is to help me is once we're back on track, and I say, hey, we're ready to talk about the business, just answer like, yes, Mariya, let's go. This is really good. Again, we really hope that will happen soon, and business will keep on working. We're already on the track. We still need to get some stuff together, and then we're in.
Awesome, yeah. Well, I guess now, whenever I've seen your email, you just pop up and okay, urgent email, answer fast.
Sorry, guys, I need to go. Just try and hold my beer. Mariya.
Yeah, Ukraine needs me, and I'm just bolting out of the room. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a plan.
Perfect. Yeah, but thank you so much again, and do your best to stay safe, and I can guarantee that I've even have a Facebook group chat with my relatives, and like they are daily sharing news articles in their own Facebook group basically, and being like, hey, this thing again happened, this thing again happened. So I believe that there are more people who do these kind of things as well, and it's like, sometimes I'm there more of a moderator for my family, where they're like, sometimes maybe sharing some shady things they found on Telegram or something like that. So then I try to show what's truth and what's not. But everybody's super active with keeping up with the news, what's happening there.
Very good. Thank you very much. That would be really. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. But okay, have a I guess as peaceful of an evening as you could possibly have.
Thank you. Let's hope we will not get the sirens tonight.
It's a sad thing to joke about, but yes, have to keep light of it.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.